All right, so here we are, the first episode of Tommy Points. Pretty excited about this, boys.
Yes, sir.
I think we got we rounded up the best in the biz here. You got
Yes.
Riley, Color Sports, Dante on deck. We got Dante, and then we got myself, Ev. How we doing on this premiere episode?
Great.
Yeah, I'm so excited. I mean, just between the three of us, I mean, with our reach, with our fans and our following, I think we're gonna put out some great content together, and we're gonna have a lot of fun doing it. So I'm super excited.
Yeah, I know we are. I mean, and like we've all crossed paths so many times and whatnot, just on Twitter and talked to each other and had fun. I figured it was about time that we get the three of us in a room, I guess. But virtually.
Yeah. Me and Evan, me and you, like we're guests enough on each other's podcast. It was about time we finally just got together and did one.
Yeah, and I mean, and Riley, I think like we, have crossed paths for quite some time now too. So.
Yeah,
and Riley's one of the best in the game. So I mean, having him on with us, I mean, that's just what I can't get even better than this. It really can't.
Maybe the best. Like I said, we got the best in the biz. Like
and with the name like Tommy Points, like I can't even think of a better name and nothing. Like I mean, this is we're ready to rock and roll
for that name.
Yeah, let's start there. So Riley, you tweeted it out, and we got Courtney Fallon, right?
Shout out Courtney.
And we got so many name ideas, like Riley.
Yeah, there were a lot of good ones too.
Yeah, and it was like I think we were throwing out like honestly all the names that we had shared in like the text group stunk compared to Tommy.
Yeah, I said Celtics and Friends, and at the time I was like, oh, that's a really good one, and then I thought Tommy Points. I was like, well, that name's shit. Like we're gonna roll with Tommy.
So we got the name. Obviously, we paid tribute to Tommy Heinsohn too, but at the same time, it's just such an iconic phrase for Celtics fans. So I think it was perfect. And also, I've gotten so many DMs, I'm sure you guys have too, about how we have the ability to put so many good merch ideas together with Tommy Points. Like,
absolutely,
I'm pretty pumped for it. So like I said, this is the first episode. We're going to be on YouTube right now. We're going to be on Apple, Spotify, everywhere pretty soon once the show gets going. So just stay tuned for that. But if you guys are watching, we'll ask you before we can get into the episode, subscribe to the channel. We're going to be doing this all season long and forever, boys. This is never stopping.
Yes, sir.
But
the future's bright.
It is, yeah. So let's jump right into it. I'll tell you guys what we're talking about. We have a few topics. We're going to talk about some over-unders for Celtics players. We're going to talk about, the Celtics offseason. Did they really get worse, like Nesson said? And then we got a plethora of fan questions. I guess we can't call them fans. We can't even call them listener questions because it's the first episode. But we got some questions sent in by some of you guys listening now that we'll get to. So first up, Riley, you tweeted these out. We got the numbers of Jaylen Brown and Jayson Tatum. We're going to go over those first. I don't think I don't think I've given my reaction to it, so this will be a live reaction, I guess. But some pretty strong numbers, I think.
I'll give a disclaimer. I think I went a little high on, well, not for Brown, for Jayson Tatum. I went a little high for the rebounds and assists.
All right, so we got 23.7 for Jaylen, 7 rebounds, 2.7 assists. Last year, averaged 20.6 rebounds, 2 assists. Riley, what was, I guess, your thought process behind this one? And then, Dante, I'm going to ask you afterwards what your initial take is on this.
Just that Brown is improving every year. It just – I feel like he's just going to keep taking that step forward, for the next couple of years until he's a superstar just like Tatum, just a little slower than Tatum.
But he'll get there, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dante, you got any gripes with these numbers?
Honestly, Riley, like – I saw your tweets and I'm looking at it now. I was talking about this with my friends like a few days ago, just our predictions. And my predictions for Jaylen Brown ain't that far off from what you have. I have him right around a little more than 23 points. I actually have it written down like my own numbers, and I also had 7.3 rebounds, so that's pretty funny. I had 3.5 assists and about a steal, a little over a steal in the block a game. I mean, and going with Riley, I mean, last year was the first year where we really saw the true Jaylen Brown. I mean, his rookie year barely played, and then the next 2 years was with, Mr.
Kyrie.
Yeah, so it's like he didn't really get to, reach his full potential or do what Jaylen Brown does now. And last year, him and Tatum ran the show, and look where he's at now. And with Hayward being gone, there's just even more touches to go around for Brown. He's going to have the ball in his hands more often. And I think that his stats are definitely going to take a jump because of it as well. I think this is going to be a breakout year for Jaylen. Not like last year where it's just like, oh, he had like the 20 points, like he had a really good year, but all-star year for Jaylen. I expect big things from him.
An all-star.
Yeah, definitely. I like it. I mean, like last year was sort of a benchmark year. Like, okay, he's the real deal, worth the money, all that stuff. You know, this year, I think I don't have any problem with. I mean, I could see him scoring over 24 points, so even stretch that more. Like, there's going to be more responsibility on the offensive end for him. Hayward's gone. Kemba's going to be injured for who knows when, and all of a sudden you have where's the ball going to go? It's Jayson Tatum, and then who? It's by default Jaylen Brown, and I don't have a problem with that at all. So I mean, I do think that people that aren't fans of the Celtics, which this squad will mix in NBA, I think that they probably look at that and they're like, "What are you talking about?" But
I mean, it's the truth. I mean, obviously, Jayson Tatum is the best player on the Celtics. I think that's something we all agree on. But Jaylen Brown is arguably the most important. And I mean, last year, in my opinion, he was the most consistent player. Like he was just reliable from the very beginning to the end of the year. He only had a handful of games where he actually scored less than 10, shot close to 50%, almost 40% from three. Those numbers are going to take a spike up too. I just think as each year goes on, he matures, he's getting smarter. He's just evolving as a player and as a human being. And that's nothing but good news, that nothing but good things you want to hear for a Boston fan. So super excited for him.
The shooting improved greatly last year.
Yeah, exactly.
He came out of Cal as a rookie, just really as like an athletic freak. Just, could get to the rim, good on defense. But last year he really improved his shot, and I think it's going to keep going up.
Exactly. I mean, coming out of college, he was really just known to be an athlete, like you said, like just a guy that can do highlight plays, make some dunks and stuff. But now he's legitimately turned into not an elite, but he's on his way to being an elite two-way player. Like on defense, he's a pretty freaking good defender, and his shot is getting there. Like it was from his first year to now, it's insane. Like it really is. So, and it's only going to get better, which is it's insane. So those yeah, I don't really have anything else to say. He's just gonna have an amazing year. I mean, I'm just looking forward to it.
And think about just like him with the ball. Like we all have loved Jaylen Brown since he was here. Like he used to get on like a 5-on-1 and somehow make the wrong decision. Like only a year and a half ago, maybe. And now he gets the ball. He kind of takes things. He doesn't go from 0 to 100. He's got like some sort of mid speed, and like it just shows this guy every single time someone tells him in the offseason, this is what you got to work on. You're not good at this. You got to get better at this. Comes back next year, a whole new man. And just is able to like put the pieces of his game together to continuously get better. And it's like, I don't know if it was you, Riley, or Dante said, Jayson Tatum's already that sort of superstar level. Jaylen's not that far behind. Like there's no doubt in my mind that Jaylen gets there. The great thing about Jaylen is he's so raw. You don't even know if he's going to be better than Tatum. Like he might be. I don't know if he's going to be, but like
the sky's the limit for both of them.
You definitely can't say no, Jaylen Brown's not going to be, you know what I mean? So 20 again, those are 23 points, 7 rebounds, or 24 points, we could say, 7 rebounds and 3 assists. We got Jayson next. No, so
yes,
Riley,
sir.
You said you're a little ambitious on what was it? The
yeah, I kind of did a redo of this because I think I went a little high on the rebounds and the assists. So I did I put him up to 27.3 points per game and back down to 7.5 rebounds and then 4.8 assists.
Yeah, I mean, I think like these numbers right now, looking at them, 26, almost 9 and 6, like we're talking MVP conversation.
Those are superstar numbers right
like,
there.
This team's good to go if Jayson Tatum's averaging a damn near double every single night, especially with Tristan Thompson coming too, like just the rebounds galore out there. So you have him, you went up in points a little bit, so now he's 27 in your official color sports predictions here on Tommy points.
Down 1 in rebounds and assists. When I did this, I totally forgot that we got Tristan Thompson, so I went a little crazy with the rebounds.
That's fair.
I don't hate it. I mean, it's like I'd rather shoot for the stars. Like give that looks so much better. like 26 and 8, you add 1 more point and less rebound, and somehow I don't know if I'm going crazy, 27 and 7 doesn't seem as like high as 3.5. Like so Dante, what do you got at Tatum at if you had to give your sort of
I mean,
line?
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at like the categories in which I think he's going to get better at. I definitely think the scoring and the assists are going to go up because, with Hayward gone, I said the same thing with Jaylen. He's going to get more touches. He's naturally going to get more shots anyways. And I mean, the percentages from last year, I think he's going to be very efficient next year as well. So I expect him to score around 26 and a half, probably, maybe high 26. Rebounds, before Thompson, I probably would have said he would have averaged around the same, maybe even 9 a game, just because the way the NBA's played, it's just wings. Guys go get boards more often, and those numbers go up. Assists, I don't think I can see him averaging around 4 or 5 a game. I think that's going to be the next thing that he focuses on as like he evolves as a player, because the offense is there. The scoring is there. I mean, defense was one thing he needed to work on. And last year he came out, he was also a very good defender last year. Still room to improve, but he's pretty good in that aspect. It's just his playmaking and getting his teammates involved. That's the next thing that he needs to work on to become, to get to that next level, to be like considered a superstar. You need to be more of a team player, getting your teammates involved. So that is the stat I'm going to look out for the most. But all in all, Riley, I mean, those are pretty spot on. I'd probably say around the same stats.
Yeah. You could tell he was working on his court vision last year, towards the end of the year, and in the bubble.
In the bubble, he was definitely working on his
bubble. He averaged, I think, close to 5 assists, a game. He's just been working on his court vision, so I think he's going to continue to improve there.
Yeah, I mean, and I will say this, and we'll get into it a little bit because we have some questions that were sent into us. But if the Celtics really are, and this is just, I guess, a spoiler take by me, if the Celtics are really going to be like an absolute contender, like put them at the top, who's coming out of the West, because we're going to be in the finals. This is the type of stat line I think we're looking for from Tatum. Like, points, rebound, every facet of the game, he's got to be the guy. I'm pretty confident that he's going to be. And, I will say, though, like, if the Celtics come out guns blazing and they are truly like the beasts of the East, I don't think that, Riley, you're going to be far off from these numbers. Obviously the season, the way it goes, I think can sort of dictate something. Like we could see Tatum average, if the Celtics just stink, which I don't think is going to be the case, we could see Tatum average 35, but like 1 assist a game because he's passing the ball once.
Yeah.
So, but, all right, so those are the two that you had tweeted out, Rye. We got a couple more that I wanted to go over because this one's interesting. We're going to start with Marcus Smart. So Marcus Smart, last year he averaged 12.9, so 13 points per game last year. Marcus Smart, do you guys see him averaging over under 15 points a game? Now, the one, I guess, I don't know if it's a disclaimer or caveat or whatever, Kemba's going to be out for, the foreseeable future. Marcus Smart is, I mean, he's the third option, right? Like who's going to be that next, at least based on who was there last year too. 15 points a game from Smart. And then I kind of want to talk a little bit more about like if he has to be that scorer, but what do you guys think? 15 points, Riley, what do you think?
I'd go under just a bit. I have him at 14.5 points per game. Just, I think he's more of a facilitator, getting the balls to other guys, just playing defense. Like, again, if Kemba's out, he may have to step in and start scoring some more.
Yeah. Dante, what do you think?
I think, first of all, he's going to start the year. I personally believe that Jeff Teague should be the one starting, only because I think Marcus Smart just better suited off the bench, just gives that bench a little bit more of a boost. I mean, we saw it last year when he started for us, the bench like really suffered because of it. Like whenever we had someone that was hurt, I personally would just love to see Marcus stay off the bench. I know I don't always get what I want. So assuming Marcus Smart is starting in place of Kemba, I do see him averaging around that many points, but like for like a year average, I'm going to go under because eventually when Kemba does come back, he'll go back to the bench. Marcus Smart, he shouldn't be chucking up that many shots. I mean, when Kemba's gone, sure, but like when he goes back to, his normal role, he's better suited being a playmaker, a defender. When he gets hot, he's hot. Like, don't get me wrong, but like there are moments sometimes more often than not where he's shooting and it's too much and it's just like ruining what the team's doing. So I'm going to say around 14 points he's going to finish at the end of the year. But while Kemba's out, I do see him being that third option, like you said, Evan, and just like, probably averaging around 15 points a game. Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely think he was taking too many shots last year. I was looking at some stats. He averaged 6.6 threes a game, which was more than Brown, and then just right under Tatum.
Yeah,
it doesn't feel right.
it's like, well, like I said, like when he gets hot, he can. What was that game against Toronto going into the fourth? He hit like 5 straight threes to start.
The
Like,
reason that
11,
like that. Don't
crazy.
get me wrong. Like that's amazing. Like when I was watching it, it was like literally like I literally just I had an adrenaline high. Like I literally just couldn't believe what I was watching. But that doesn't happen all the time. That was like one of the. Well, I probably have seen him do that maybe 1 or 2 other times. So it's just like he can't think that he's that's his role. Like that's what he's supposed to be doing when he's on the court. He needs to focus on playmaking, defending. If he's open, go for it, shoot it. I think he's proven that he can be like a reliable shooter when we need him to. He just doesn't need to be forcing shots like he typically does.
Yeah, it's crazy because like even when I know, and we all I think love Marcus Smart here. Obviously, goes without saying. We know when Smart's on, he's on. But at the same time, even when he's hitting 4 threes in a row and he chucks up the 5th, I'm still kind of like,
yeah.
And then it goes in. I'm like, oh, I knew it was going in the whole time.
Yeah,
like, no doubt.
Well, I mean,
it's Smart.
those threes he was hitting against Toronto was kind of crazy. He was hitting some step backs and ones. I was just like, this dude's like lucky. These are going in because they were bad. They weren't the best shots. But
Twitter was unreal when that was happening. It was like Smart's hit 3 in a row. Smart's hit 4 in a row.
That literally, like that game is like the definition of like that is the Marcus Smart experience. Like that literally just a roller coaster of emotions. No other way to describe it.
Yeah. Like and like I said, we all love him, and just to be the contrarian here, I guess I'll say over. You know, when we revisit this type of thing, I just want the chance to be able to rub it in your faces. So
I like it.
I'll go over. And one thing I wanted to say too is so Smart. I think he averaged like 35-ish%. He's like league average in the last 2 years from 3. He's like, and I didn't know this until really looking into it. He stinks from 2-point range, like inside the line. He's like, and that's almost what I'm banking on. That now all of a sudden he gets better at finishing. I don't know how much I want like a Marcus Smart pull up for mid range, but maybe like he's decent on the pick and roll. Like I'm just hoping that he keeps shooting like he's shooting percentage wise. I don't know if I need 6 or 7 from him a game, but like maybe if he gets a little bit better finishing around the rim, I guess I'm hoping to hit that 15 points. And even with Kemba back, like I still think they're going to need Marcus Smart to be offensive until like, I guess, and I'm kind of high on Teague too. I think we'll talk about him with some of the questions that were sent in, but until Teague like proves himself, same thing with Nesmith, same thing with any of these guys that are supposed to handle some of the offensive workload. I think I'm depending on Marcus Smart for now, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I mean, that makes perfect sense. I mean, personally, I think Nesmith is going to be like a go-to off the bench for us, but that's going to happen like down the line. So I understand like Marcus Smart is going to have to carry the offensive load more often at the beginning of the year. And as the year goes on, that'll kind of be like more guys can take responsibility of the scoring. Like Nesmith will step into his own.
Is it so is it Nesmith? Because when they drafted him, I just thought of Nesquik, and I can't get Nesmith out of my mind.
I've been saying Nesmith. You said Nesmith, I think, so that's why I said Nesmith. I really don't know. It's an E, I know, so I don't know. Either one, I guess. Aaron.
I've been saying Nesmith.
Sniper.
Nesmith, I don't know. Like I'm telling you, Nesquik was just popped into my mind.
Someone will correct us. Yeah. Someone that's watching will correct us. And
I will say I'm so bad at reading those like pronunciation things. So even if someone types out like this is how you say it, it's gonna help me zero. But
we'll get there.
Yeah, at least I got you two guys to help me out here. That's gonna be a struggle all year long. Maybe we'll just call him Nesquik.
Nesquik. That's a good nickname.
It's a good nickname.
It is a good nickname.
There we go. Is that the first Tommy Points official nickname that we've given?
Who knows? Aaron Nesquik.
But all right. So Marcus Smart, I'm saying over 15. You guys are saying under. You're probably the smart ones, but I'm playing the long game here. Kemba Walker. Now, I guess he's injured, but in games played last year, he averaged 20.4. First year with the team, 22 points per game is the over under I'm setting for you guys. What do you guys think of that? Now, keep in mind, too, you both have said that Tatum and Brown are both going to take like more and more points on. So where do you land with Kemba if I give you the line of 22?
You want to go first, Riley?
Yeah, sure. I'll go over just by a bit, maybe 22 and a half, 23 points a game. I'm really just concerned about the knee, though.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how many games he's going to play. I know he's just going to miss like the first month or whatever, but I have a bad feeling it's going to be a reoccurring injury throughout the year, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's going to be. I honestly like take his time getting back, but like if we
Yeah.
have to quiet, load manage him all year. Like
No,
literally,
yeah.
just get him ready for the playoffs. Regular season doesn't matter. We all know that. Playoffs is when it
Yeah.
matters. Just get him healthy for the playoffs. Whatever he does during the regular season, so be it. I'll probably go under 22. Because I'm sticking with, I think Jaylen and Jayson are really going to like they're just going to be taking a bulk of the shots in the offense. They're really going to be the go-tos. I think Kemba will average at least 20 points a game because he's a scorer. I mean, that's what he does. I just don't think, especially if he misses a lot of time, and at that point the offense is already focused around Jaylen and Jayson, I don't know if he'll come in and just start, putting up 23, 24 points a game. I think he'll kind of be under 22, not too much, a little bit under 22, and just kind of riding the wave throughout the year, because who knows, like consistently, like I don't know how often he'll be on the floor. Like he can play a game, then miss a game, then play the next one. Like that kind of messes with your rhythm. So who knows, like if he'll be consistent all year long. But like I said, get him healthy for the playoffs. All I care about.
Yeah. I mean, I'm gonna go under 2. So Riley, this is your opportunity now that you just bookmark this. If he goes off, you're the lonesome wolf out here. But I'm gonna say under just slightly though. Like I guess I'm not gonna repeat everything you just said, Dante. But you hit the nail on the head. Like he's a scorer. Like I don't think we're gonna see a Kemba Walker, even if he's hobbled, even if he's injured, go out there and average like 17 a game. You know what I mean? Like I think he's gonna probably be right around 21. Like I think 20 points last year in your first year with the team, and with some injury concerns last year, and he still put up 20 a game, barring any rhythm and whatnot. So I think that 21 is probably my number for him, but not too far below 22. Like I wouldn't be shocked by 21 and a half.
Yeah, I'm with you there.
We do have, I guess we can get to our first before we get into our next topic. We'll filter these in where applicable. We have our first like I said, I don't know what to call these yet. They're not listener questions because, at the time of recording, us three are the only ones that have listened to this. But
submissions, I guess.
Submissions, I guess. Yeah.
For now, yeah.
So here we go. We got Stone the Seas fan saying, any concern with Kemba's long-term health? Riley, you kind of mentioned it. You want to expand?
Yeah, I just think, I don't know, like when he was at UConn and all his time in Charlotte, no injury problems whatsoever. Now he comes to Boston. He's got this knee problem, keeps reoccurring. He's got the stem cell injections, which should help, but I don't think that's a long-term solution. I don't know. I'm just concerned. I think Danny Ainge is kind of downplaying his injury a bit.
Yeah, I mean, you don't like when there's smoke, there's fire. And the dude has had so much work.
There's a lot of smoke. A lot of smoke right now.
He's got the smokiest knee in the game right now. Like there's so much, like they're talking about other surgeries and whatnot. Like you don't do that if this is just like we'll take some time and you're back to 100%. You know what I mean? It's gotta be, and I think this is a good word, so it's in the question too. Like I think it is a concern. Like they can definitely beat it. I think luckily this team now can lean on a guy like Tatum that has sort of obviously last year come into his own and mitigate sort of this, Kemba injury, because we do have a guy that we can turn to in terms of like being the star. But like, I'm definitely concerned about Kemba's long-term health, and I'm not like over the moon, like, oh crap, it's over. Like, he's a bust signing type of thing. But I think it's 100% a concern people should have. Like, I don't see the take of, it's just a knee injury. Like, he'll be fine. Like, how often do we see, it's a knee injury, not a big deal?
It's never just a knee injury. It's always something deeper. I mean, honestly, I'd be lying if I said it wasn't concerned. I mean, this sucks. I mean, before he came to Boston, he missed a handful of games. Before, like in the 4 years prior, he missed like 5 or 6 games. He had a meniscus surgery, I think, but he only missed 2 games that next season. It's just he's never had any injury concern, and it sucks because I'm starting to think that the Celtics are cursed. Like, dead ass. Like, I'm like, we get someone like Isaiah Thomas, Kyrie when he missed the playoffs, Hayward, and now Kemba. I mean, it's just like they can't win when it comes to these max signings or these potential max players, right? I think it's concerning, and I think because of how concerning it is, Danny Ainge is not going to use the trade exception until next offseason, or at least the deadline, because if Kemba Walker's injury like is serious, and like he's not going to be the same player again after this year, you might want to use that on another point guard or maybe try using that and packaging Kemba for someone. Because when we got Kemba last offseason, we got him to be the focal point of the offense. Like, we got him to put up 25, 26 a game. Like, it was going to be Kemba 1A, Tatum 1B. It was just Kemba was going to be the number one guy until Tatum took over. No one thought Tatum was going to take over that quick. So it's like, it's concerning, but it's also like, it worked. Like it worked because like we got Kemba, and now we don't have to worry about him being the number one guy. It's not like we lost our best scorer or anything. We have two guys that are arguably better than him right now. So it sucks, but the Celtics can work around it, and we'll see what happens in the long run. But I mean, hopefully it works itself out. Hopefully he gets healthy. It stinks too because we've had no time between their last game and the first game of the season. He's had no time really to recover. It's not like he had a 6-month off season. If he did, we wouldn't really. Who knows if we'd be talking about this, right? So that definitely doesn't help him. But we'll just have to wait and see and hope for the best.
Yeah, I know. It's. I think we're all in agreement here. The answer of the question. It's a concern.
Yes.
Like it could go in, like, we're not saying like, oh my God, like the Kemba Walker's falling down. Like I said, it's not like we're overreacting, but I think this is the type of thing where it's like, well, you're a dummy if you underreact. Like, it's and we are lucky with Tatum.
And don't forget that he's 30 years old.
Yeah, that too. No, we'll see what happens.
We will. That's a fact.
Hopefully Teague steps up.
Yeah. So and I think we can start talking about sort of that, meaning like the offseason additions, as well as some of I think a couple of these questions we're going to go through have to do with Teague. So and I guess a perfect transition here. So Nesson, who everyone turns to for their Celtics coverage. When you think Celtics, you think Nesson. Like they're right on par.
You should think of us when you think of the Celtics.
People will now. People think they will now. But
oh, Evan, you muted your mic.
There you go. So I wrote an entire blog on my site, just kind of rebutting this, and theirs was "Let's Call It Like It Is." The Celtics got worse this offseason. My title was "Let's Call It Like It Is." The Celtics did not get worse this offseason. And when I tweeted out, Nesson liked the tweet, so I don't know if there's a little friction here.
Did they really?
Yeah, like the Nesson account. It's just a wild.
Interesting. Maybe.
But anyway, and I looked into it. It was written by a guy that claimed he was a Bruins writer. So okay, red flag.
Wrong sport.
But he pretty much goes through and talks about the Celtics got so much worse. And my whole take on this, my whole point is, well, if you look at all of the flaws they had, the voids that they had, they actually went out and addressed every single one of those. And then if you look at the loss versus gained, you gain Tristan Thompson, Teague, Nesquik, and I guess we can say Peyton Pritchard. Who knows? But then you really only lost Poirier, Brad Wanamaker, who don't even get me started on him. Like
we don't have to.
I can't get started on him. And then so Vincent Poirier, Cantor, Wanamaker, and then Hayward's like the one name that they did lose. And my whole blog, I guess, is pretty much saying, okay, every concern they had, they addressed. And then, you look at Hayward leaving. Yeah, it was great to have and I loved Hayward. Like I defended him. I believed in him. But now that he's gone, I think, I can take a step back and answer it realistically too. He averaged 17 points as the fourth option, probably one of the best fourth options, if not the best, like of all time. But if you were to walk up to me on the street, forget the points, forget the name and say, hey, the Celtics just lost their fourth option. Like, I don't know if I would throw a fit about it. I don't know if I would say like, oh my God, that's crazy. And I think some of the names we've mentioned and obviously the new guys that they've signed, I think sort of fill that Gordon Hayward, 17 points a game. Like, if we look at Tatum, we look at Brown taking big leaps, then we talk about Teague, Thompson, Nesmith, like these guys are somewhat going to fill that loss. So I think that, and I guess, just to tie it back into what I was writing, I said that I never made the argument that they got way better. I never made the argument that they were a contender. I just said they didn't get worse to me. Yep. And whether or not someone wants to make the argument that the rest of the East got better, now they're not a title contender, so on and so forth. To me, they didn't get actually worse. And that's the key word. And I think I might have upset Nesson, or the author wrote it. Nathan tweeted out, and they're like,
"We made a mistake.
We made a big mistake."
Yeah. I mean, I'm with you. I mean, it's worse in how you look at it. Worse in terms of talent, maybe, because yes, you are losing that 17-point per game score, 6 rebounds, 7 rebounds. Honestly, in my opinion, one of the best, if not the best playmaker on the team.
Mhm.
And, you know, hold his own on defense. He was a valuable player when he was healthy. Like, we have to remember, we didn't have him in the playoffs last year. Like, we made it back. We swept Philly. We took Toronto to 7 when, if we're being completely honest, we could have or
Easily.
swept them or gentlemen swept them if we didn't lose at the buzzer in game 3. That just threw everyone off. That series could have easily ended that next game. But anyways, they beat the reigning champs without Hayward. Bring him back against Miami. Wasn't healthy. I'm not blaming him for the loss by any means, but he was a part of it. But Danny Ainge like addressed the needs of the team. Like, we needed a big man. We needed a walking double-double. We needed shooters. We needed veteran experience. We checked off all those things. It might not be the big man that fans have wanted. It might not be Miles Turner. It might not be, some people want Andre Drummond. Blows my mind. I don't know how you guys feel about him, but I don't like him. It's just, he's not the sexiest name, Tristan Thompson, but he's been in the league for 10 years. He's won a championship. He's been to the finals 4 straight years. I get it was with LeBron and all that stuff, but he knows what it takes to get there, and he knows what it's like to play under that pressure. So he's going to be a huge addition. Aaron, knees quick. I'm still getting used to the name. All right.
Quick.
It's gonna get there. I am big on him. I personally think he's going to be in the starting lineup come playoff time. I think it's going to be Kemba, Jaylen, him, Tatum, and Thompson. I just think he's going to be. I think he's going to be really good. I think he's going to transition well. Like, you had in all those additions, it makes up for that loss of Hayward. Like, all around, it does. Like, you're not getting a guy that averages 17 a game, but you're getting points here and there. And, you know, Tatum and Brown, people forget they're getting better. People forget that guys on the team can't get better. It's not all about additions and subtractions that makes your team better or worse. Tatum and Brown are only going to get better. And honestly, like, the best is yet to come. Who God knows what we'll see from the next season. And then people will be saying, they'll be kicking themselves by saying that we got worse.
Yeah.
That's just how it is.
I think it was a loss losing Hayward, obviously, but we replaced Wanamaker with Teague, which is an upgrade. We replaced Cantor with Thompson,
also
upgrade.
perfect.
Nesquik, who I think again can be a starter in the playoffs, like you said. And Hayward averaged he's 17 points last year. He was great, but I feel like sometimes when he came in, it just not ruined the chemistry, but it just, the stats don't show like how productive he was. Like,
yeah, I get what you're saying.
He didn't fit.
Yeah, it's just, you look at Jaylen and Jayson, it's like they run the ball, they run the fast break, they're quick, they run and Hayward really isn't that type of player. At least not anymore with his injuries and stuff like that. He can't keep up with them. So it's just, I don't know. He complemented them in ways, I guess, like kind of spreading the floor, letting them do their thing. Because he was like very generous. Like, he allowed them to do their things. He took the step back because he knows he could have had a bigger role and stuff, but he allowed them to do their thing. So I thought he was great. Like you said, Evan, I defended him whenever people came at him. I thought, he was good for what he was. Unfortunately, he just couldn't stay healthy, and the team was fine without him in the playoffs. So that's how I'm looking at it now. It's just, we didn't need him then. Think we just made all these additions to the team without him. And that's how you got to look at it, right?
Right. And
so we got better.
And he didn't, like I was saying, sort of to your point, Riley, like, he just didn't fit. So it's a big name. It's a big point total that you're technically losing, but he wasn't like this astronomical piece to our puzzle. You know what I mean? Like, yes, he's probably better than Teague or Thompson technically, like, but in terms of the puzzle, like, they might fit into now what they need a little bit better. And one thing too is like, and to give Hayward not credit, but almost to defend him one last time, it's like the fact when he signed, he was supposed to be like the number 1 or the 1A with Isaiah.
All
of a sudden now he's the clear-cut number 2 with Kyrie, and it's supposed to be crazy G. Like, and then he goes and gets injured, watches the young guys get better, then comes back, gets injured again, watches Tatum and Brown, and Tatum especially, become legit superstars. Kemba gets added to the mix. Like, Hayward had an absolute roller coaster.
Tatum didn't start game 1, like the first game of the year against Cleveland. He was coming off the bench. It was Hayward and Marcus Morris. Tatum wouldn't have started if Hayward didn't go down like that. So his injury is what jump-started Tatum's growth.
Yeah, so it's just like wild to think about.
Yeah,
wild to think about Hayward sort of like. And that's like the people, that say like, oh, he stinks, he's not worth the money. I mean, maybe he's not worth the money. It's not your money. Chill out.
We didn't sign him after he snapped his ankle. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, when we signed him, he was coming off of an all-star year. Like, he was putting up crazy numbers. The Jazz were a playoff team, and he was great. He was at the top of that free agency list for a reason. Like, it's like, I hate when people make that argument. Like, Danny Ainge doesn't sign big name free agents. It's like Al Horford, Gordon Hayward, Kemba Walker, nearly all at the top of the free agent like class for them, and we get them, and it's just like, he's not worth the money you overpaid. Yeah, you're just saying that because it's not your team or Boston. That's all it is.
Seriously. But all right, we have. I guess we can run with this question here. I think this is a good one. I don't know what direction we'll go in with it, but I think that's the fun of the fan questions here. All right, so this one's coming in from Z Celtics. He said, do we need another superstar before we're confident enough to say that the championship should be ours? What do we think on that?
I'm already shaking my head now. This is a team that we don't need another superstar. We just need the right complementary players and the right role players, and we're fine. I think Jaylen and Jayson being the number 1 and 2. I mean, we still have Kemba. I'm not like, I feel like I'm forgetting about Kemba. Jaylen and Jayson are fine, like being the top 2 guys, and we still have Kemba. Just work around those guys. We don't need to go after a star player. Would it be nice to? Would it like make us better? Yeah, absolutely. But like, I just don't think it's worth like. I don't even want to think of what it would take to get another superstar. Like if we had to trade for them or anything like.
You mean you don't want James Harden?
No, don't not get me started. Because I don't understand why people want him. I don't want to get into it because I can go on forever. No, I don't want James Harden. I'm keeping it at that. Keeping it at that, Evan. Keeping it at that.
I gotta poke the bear a little bit. I gotta see what comes out.
I gotta push my buttons a little bit.
Riley, what do you think? Another superstar necessary? Yes, no?
I don't think so. I think Tatum and Brown are good enough. I don't think they're superstars yet. I think they're on their path, to being superstars, and not to compare them to LeBron James and Anthony Davis, but if you look at that team, they have 2 big superstars and then a bunch of role players.
Yeah,
they just won championship.
And that's how it works.
Can do it. If they have the right pieces around them, we just need to start building around Brown and Tatum.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. It's if we were to get a guy, I'm not gonna say Harden, but someone like that, all of a sudden you're saying to Jayson Tatum, you're saying to Jaylen Brown, go ahead, take a backseat role. Like we got a new guy. You know what I mean? Like, no, like there's a reason that they've kind of flourished and become true Celtics, and it's because I think we've sort of given them the leash that they were able to go out there and be free, and then obviously turn into like what. And we know that type of thing works for Tatum. The guy gets named an all-star, and then all of a sudden he's like, wow, that monkey's off my back. Here we go.
Yep, exactly. Same thing we had for Jaylen this year.
Yeah. All right, here we go. We got one in, and this guy I think is pronounced Ahan. He's been, so far one of the top supporters of the show. I mean, he subscribed right away, he followed right away, he's been interacting. So shout out to him. He says, which newcomer do we think will be the most pleasant surprise, and what about them do you hope to see shock the world? So I feel like he goes from, I'm going to say this, goes from pleasant surprise to, and what about them going to shock the world, which I kind of love
I love that.
But anyways, so, and I think what's the sort of group that we're looking at here? Teague, Thompson, Nesmith, we got to figure something out.
Well, I'm just going to call Nesquik.
Next episode we'll have it. So we'll have it.
All right. So we got Nesquik, Teague, Thompson, and Pritchard. Riley, I guess you could start here. Out of those 4, which one do you think is going to be pleasantly shocking the world this year?
I don't know. That's a hard answer. That's a hard question to answer. For a pleasant surprise, I think Jeff Teague is going to do pretty well, especially if he starts the season. Last year in Minnesota, he actually had one of his not best years, but compared to the years he was with the Hawks, since then he looked really well. But then the player that shocked the world might be Nesquik. He's shooting like they say he can shoot.
They say he can. Brad Stevens says he likes what he sees out of him during the training camp. It's only been a few days, and he's kind of playing it off like, I don't know how many minutes he's going to play. I think he's going to play a few minutes to start the year. Yeah. I think he's going to be there.
one thing in that Nesson article, and I thought it was kind of like ridiculous, that the author of the article was like, you can't bank on a college shooter to shoot well in the NBA. Look at guys like RJ Hunter and James Young. I'm like, okay, you just picked the most convenient name.
Yeah, you just picked the two guys that didn't translate.
And I get it from the Celtics experience, but it's like, how about the plethora of guys in the NBA right now that did? And if you had that mindset, you just wouldn't draft shooters. You wouldn't even draft like big men in college, because who knows if they're going to be good in the pros. Like, that's literally the thing.
I will say I do own an RJ Hunter Celtics jersey. So to the author of that's an article, screw you. All right. I bought his jersey and I went to, it was versus the Timberwolves, KG's last game in Boston. And I'm like going crazy, like wearing the jersey. People are like, why is this kid like RJ Hunter so much? Like, I love him. I was high on him. And he hits a half court buzzer beater to end the first quarter. And I started freaking out. And everyone around me is like, oh, wow, this kid might be pretty good. Yeah. But yeah, listen, I think Nesquik is going to be, he's going to be the one to shock the world. I think, I'm high on him. I don't think as many people, like, they see what he did in college. They might not be expecting him to do the same thing. I'm not saying he's going to shoot 50% from three in the NBA, but I think he is going to be a huge, huge part of this team. I think he's going to be so valuable to us. He is going to be the shooter that we have been looking for. I think that's what his role is going to be. He has, you guys have probably seen his highlights on YouTube. This dude has like every trick every trick in his bag when it comes to offense. Like, he literally can do everything. Like, you think he's just a shooter? He can drive. He can do step backs, mid range, fadeaways, all these things. Like, he'll be a very important part of the offense. And honestly, Peyton Pritchard, I think he's going to be, especially with Kemba being out to start the year, I think he's going to get some run. And he's one of those players, like, he's not going to, the stats aren't going to jump off the box score, right? But he's going to be a guy, when he goes in the game, he's going to give you everything that he has. He can shoot. Like, he has very decent range. He's hard-nosed on defense. He's just in your face, like that hard-working mentality. Honestly, it kind of reminds me of a Marcus Smart 2.0, just Marcus Smart light, kind of. Honestly, like that.
I mean, hopefully
mentality he has, I think. Like, so I think he's going to be a good surprise for this team. I don't know how much he'll play. I think he'll play a good amount when Kemba's out, but once he comes back, I don't know. But I think he'll be a solid addition to the team when he's on the floor.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not like I feel like I don't, before I like want to judge him, I guess I want to see and want to know more about him, because I'm not like fully sold.
I had no idea who he was when they drafted him.
Yeah,
I really didn't know, but doing research, and he's a 4-year college guy. I mean, and some of the clips he had, he went off in some of these tournaments, like elimination games, like leading Oregon to big, like 20-point comebacks and stuff, like hitting big shots. Like, he can be that type of player. He can really be huge for this offense. I think he's just going to need the time to, get more NBA ready and just, find his role on the team.
If you think he comes in and does well, and then Teague obviously is doing pretty well, what are the chances that the Celtics trade Kemba if his knee is still an issue?
I mean, it really depends on how bad it is at the end of the year, to be honest with you. It's just like, if it's really a liability, like it's coming to the point where it's like, we don't know how often he's going to play. Like, he could play like Hayward. He can play 10, 15 straight games and get hurt again. If it turns into something like that, like I said, hold on to that trade exception and try to do something with that, because we don't want to be dealing with another Gordon Hayward situation. Not as extreme, but same type of thing.
I would love to see them go after Bradley Beal. Trade exception.
Don't get me started. Don't get me started. I would love me some Bradley Beal.
Dante doesn't want to get get started.
5 minutes ago, I'm like, yeah, we don't need to trade for a superstar like that. I'm like, I don't know. But it's wishful thinking. He's not leaving Washington for the next few months at least. So we'll get there when we get there. Okay. Well, let him have his time with Westbrook, and then we'll see what happens after that.
All right, and actually, before we get into the next one, I wanted to say, like, Carson Edwards, like out of the first few days of practice, there's been talk of him and stuff. He's saying like he's ready to go, or he's like he wants to contribute. I didn't love hearing this. He wants to contribute defensively. It's like, buddy, I didn't draft you to contribute defensively.
I think he's too lost in the bench now. I think he had his chance last year. If he had a better year and he shot better than 30% from three, I think he'd have a shot at cracking the rotation. But now we have Teague, Peyton. I mean, I don't know how many minutes Peyton is going to play, but still, I mean, you still got Smart. When Kemba comes back, forget about it. He's not even going to touch the court.
Yeah, I agree. Here we go. This one's coming in from Ethan. And it's a very direct question.
I didn't see this one.
Will I mean I didn't Photoshop it. I'll say that. But he says, will Jeff Teague drop 31 on opening night and shock the hell out of everyone?
Ethan Albert Pond, of whom I am very fond. No. He won't.
Do I play the contrarian again? Do I try and get in an early one here on the podcast and say yes?
I think wishful thinking. Very wishful thinking. I mean, listen, is he starting or is he coming off the bench? If he's starting, I mean, I think it's more realistic.
Yeah, it's not
31 points for like a 30.
I'd be shocked if he scored 25 points, to be honest.
Yeah.
If he scored 20 points once this season, I'd be like, all right, I'll take that. 31 points is a little too much. How old is he? He's 31 years old. I don't expect a 31-year-old Jeff Teague to be dropping 31 points for the Celtics game 1.
Well, I hope you're wrong.
I mean, I hope I'm wrong too, but I don't think it'll happen.
All right, this one's coming in from Smartwater. Says, who will get the first 30? I can't speak. This question has me tripped up here. Smartwater says, who will get the first 40-point game? You know what, Riley? We'll start with you. I think you got the.
Yeah, I think I know what you're gonna say. Yeah,
I'll go with Jayson Tatum.
Thought you were gonna say
night against the Bucks.
Okay.
43 points.
I'm with you. I think Jayson. If anyone's gonna be dropping 40 points this year, it's gonna be Tatum. It's
over under 4 40-point games from Tatum this year.
Over
4.
Yeah. If you said like something like 6 or 7, that's when I would have been started thinking about it. I think, I mean, listen, like I said, Hayward's gone. He's gonna have a lot more shots coming his way. I think he can put up 40. What was it before last year? Didn't he have like no 30-point games or something like that? And then last year he just had like 15, 20 or whatever it was. Like crazy amount. Yeah, it's gonna be like 40. That's gonna be like the new 40 points for him going forward. I can see him putting up 40 points like 5 or 6 times this year. Definitely.
I think he might drop 50 once this year.
I hope you're right. You're right.
He scored 41 against.
Wrong with the 50 burger.
Who was it? 41 against the Pelicans in like 3 quarters. So
yeah.
Oh, he definitely has it in him. A million.
Yeah, if he played that fourth quarter, he was definitely dropping 50 for sure.
All right, this one's coming in from Palmer Guy Boston. Before we say the question, we got to shout him out for some of the graphics that we got going on. The logo of the podcast. So you're seeing this handle. I think this is the first time we've said it for someone to send in a question. Go follow Palmer Guy Boston. Yes. I mean, he's gonna help. He's gonna help us out on social and stuff. He is. I mean, talented out the wazoo.
Shout out Palmer.
If you guys saw what I sent him about, like, hey, like, can you turn this into some sort of a podcast logo and whatnot? It was not even close to like anything that he sent back in a good way. Like I sent him like these like clip art, not even clip art, but like a random picture of Tommy Heinsohn and like Tatum and like, hey, can you put like the text here? And he came back with the work of art that you guys saw. So shout out to him.
Beautiful.
He says, will Taco get real? So he texted me after I showed it to you guys. He goes, did the guys like it? And I was like, yeah. They did. Yeah. He's like, oh, okay. I was like, yeah, I think you knew that was going to be
better
yeah, but so he's asking, will Taco gets real minutes this year, not just garbage time? I'll answer I guess I'll steal the show here. I don't think so. I mean, if he was and I'm not trying to rag on Taco, he was a capable, like consistent go-to big man, then I would love it because he's tall as hell. But I don't think so because he's still on a 2-way now, right?
Yeah. Him and
so it's like
back on 2 ways.
Yeah, so I don't think so. I mean, I'd love it if Taco turns into a success story here, but I don't think he's going to get the minutes.
Yeah, I've always viewed Taco Fall as a situational player. And what I mean by that is like you put him in when, like, let's say the end of the game. I mean, we saw this against Toronto and it didn't work. But I'm just saying, like, you're up a point and you need someone to guard the inbounder. Put him in there, stand in front of him, or stand by the paint. In that situation, he should have been standing at the elbow of the free throw line. He should have been near the wing where he shot the 3. Well, we don't have to talk about that. Or he's a guy that if you need a point, you put him in the paint and you just throw it up to him. He puts it up. That's the type of player I see him being. I can't see Taco Fall playing anywhere near like 10 minutes a night. Like, I just don't think his knees would even be able to handle that. He's progressed. He's gotten a lot better. Like, I love his work ethic and want to be better. It's just going to be tough for him to find a consistent role on this team. Just like, with He's very slow. He doesn't have all the mechanics. Like, he's not a perfect player. I mean, he's awesome, but he's not, he's not great. He still has a lot of room of improvement. I hope one day he can, but not this year. Not this year.
Yeah. Maybe in a couple years. I think Taco's kind of a pipe dream, hoping he'd be.
He's one of those guys that you want to have around. You don't want anyone else to have him. Like, it's like Boban.
Yeah.
Like, I'd love to have Boban on my team, and I hate that the Mavericks have him. So it's just like, I don't want anyone else having the 7'5", 7'6" guy. Like, we might not use him, but I still want him on my team.
No, I wouldn't mind keeping him for a couple years.
Yeah, it's an insurance. It's an insurance thing, and it's also kind of like, who knows? Who knows if he'll pan out? I mean, we're saying right now we don't know if he will in the next year at least, but 3-4 years from now, like you said, he could be pretty good. So why not hold on to him?
Yeah, but replacing Cantor with Thompson at the 5 position, I don't see many minutes for him this year.
No, I agree. Definitely.
I agree, which rolls right into this question, who I think is a pretty easy answer too, like who's starting at center. I think we're thinking so maybe it isn't as easy as I think. I think, even last year at this time when we got Cantor, we probably would have been like, oh, well, Cantor's the starting center. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I'm hoping Thompson plays out a little bit better than Cantor did. And I liked Cantor for I guess what he was in some aspects, but Tristan Thompson's my vote for who's starting at center. And I think that's great for Daniel Theis to come off the bench and be that like bench center.
Yeah, I think that Tristan Thompson is going to end up being the starter, for most of the season and our starting center going into the playoffs and for the playoffs. I think to start the year, Daniel Theis is going to be the starting center for 2 reasons. One, because the Thompson's hamstring injury, this is fairly new. I don't know how serious it is. They said he's going to miss a portion of training camp. I don't know if that means that he's going to be, less than 100% before the regular season or whatever it is. That and Daniel Theis has that chemistry with at least Jaylen and Jayson, and Marcus Smart, I guess, if he starts. Yeah, exactly. With Kemba as well. It's like he's been there with these guys. He knows how they play. He knows where to be. He knows how to set them up where he needs to be, he knows what to do. So in that case, I think he's the safest bet to have starting the year. But like I said, as time goes on, Tristan Thompson, he should become the starting center because, walking double-double. He'll get us at least 10 and 10 every single game. That's putting it lightly, at least 10 and 10. That's the expectation for him. And Theis off the bench, like you said, I think that would be great for him to come off the bench and just kind of give that bench another boost, like a former starter coming off the bench. I think that would be pretty good for them later on in the year. But to start, I think Theis is going to be the starting center for the C's.
Yeah. Basically the same thing with Dante said, Theis is probably going to start the year. We're bringing Thompson. It really fits well with other players. But I think Thompson will start towards the end of the year and in the playoffs, but I don't think Theis' role will diminish too much. I think he'll still get a good amount of playing time.
Yeah.
I think it was 30 or 40 games into last season, him and Kemba were ranked first in pick and roll efficiency. So that tells you something. It's just the little things he does with the team because he meshes really well with them.
And he's shooting better, I guess, better and better. I'm not at the point where I love him shooting, but he does take, the defense has to sort of cover a pick and pop rather than just pick and roll.
And it's not it's not like he's forcing bad shots either. He's only going to shoot it if he's wide open. And in that case, it's if you're wide open, let it fly.
Yeah. But I think that's all we got. If we missed any of your questions, be sure to send them in early when we tweet it out. So, follow us at Tommy Points Pod on Twitter. That's where we're going to be tweeting out and asking for questions. I think it's a goal of ours too, to get a voicemail line going. I think that'd be pretty cool to play some voicemails, react live here. But that's all we got for the first episode. Riley, Dante, you guys got anything else that maybe we didn't talk about that you want to talk about?
Your thoughts on Robert Williams this year?
Okay.
I mean,
if he works out, I think that's huge. I hope he does. I don't know if he will because I still don't know if he has the mental ability to.
He's super raw right now, but I just think in the future he could be that big guy for us.
The potential is there. He's one of those guys I've always looked at him if he reaches his full potential, he's the starting center for the Celtics. He can run next to Jaylen and Jayson. Their games complement each other so well, but it's mental. He's very raw. He still makes these mistakes that he tends to do, like he jumps on like pump fakes and stuff, and he draws fouls easily. Like he needs to work on those little mental errors and just little things like that. There was actually today he was interviewed by the media after practice or whatever it was, and he said that he's becoming more of a vocal leader. Like he says he thinks he's going to make a jump for not only himself but the team. I'm excited from what he's saying and saying that I'm more of a leader. He's maturing, and I love that. He needs to go out and show it.
Yeah,
he can say all he wants, but he needs to go out and show it. He has shown flashes. Last year, it sucked because he was hurt a lot of the year with a hip injury, I believe it was. So he only played like 20-something games. But like if he can stay healthy on the floor and he just works on those things and just focusing on what he needs to do, rebounding, blocking, running the floor, he's going to be perfect for this team. He just needs to prove it.
Yeah, agreed.
And then, I guess this is obviously preseason, the preseason hasn't even started, but we are preseason technically.
Yep.
I think a lot of this stuff is going to be cool now that we started the show before the season. We'll be able to kind of go back and, see what we've called, like, maybe Teague does drop 31 on opening night, and all of a sudden, what was his name? The guy that sent in the gets to just, maybe we'll make a bet. If Teague drops 31 on opening night, that guy just can run the podcast. We'll leave the podcast.
He'll have free reign. Yeah,
it seems like a pretty lose situation.
If Jeff Teague drops 31, screw it. He can do whatever he wants.
the Tommy Points podcast is no more if he drops it. But this is. I think we got a lot of potential for this show here. I think people are gonna love this show. I'm real glad we're jumping on doing this. So if you guys have any ideas for the show as listeners and whatnot, or maybe even, when we get going, we'll get some guest appearances from listeners of the show, not just like, true touted guests, I guess. But yeah, we're excited to do this. This is episode 1, the premiere episode. I think we're probably going to grow from here. But Riley, Dante, I think we crushed it, if I do say so myself and ourselves.
Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things where it's like, this is the first time I actually like talked to you, Riley, like through a screen or like just personally. So it's like as time goes on, like Evan, I've known you for a little bit, like we're just going to get better each and every episode. Like I say this with my own podcast, like the more you do it, the better we're going to get. It's just, we work so well. This is the first episode and it's like, we've done like 10, 20 of these together already. So it's just like the potential's there. We're only going to get better. And like with all the listeners and everyone, like you guys are making this possible. Like we're putting this out for you. So we're excited to give you guys just the best Celtics, talk, our best opinions, our hot takes and whatnot. Like we're just excited to give that to you guys. So we always appreciate you guys checking in, listening, following, and everything that you do. So thank you guys.
All right. So maybe we just do a little round table of plug what you want to plug. So we'll sign up the show. Riley, what do you got? Where can they find you? What do you got going on?
I'll just plug my Twitter, Color Sports, right there.
That's an easy one.
Easy enough. Other side. You can follow me on Twitter.
You did that so much worse than
right there. Yeah, I don't know. It's right there. You can follow me on Twitter at Dante on Deck. You can just everything you want to know about me, you can find on there. Articles, podcasts, everything in between. Follow me, Twitter, Dante on Deck.
I'm not gonna not do the same now. Yeah. So you could follow me on.
Yeah.
All right. So Riley's the.
I got one more plug.
Here we go. What do we got?
Courtney Fallon's podcast, just because she came up with this brilliant name, Bad Signal. Just go follow her podcast, listen to it. It's great. Shout out Courtney again for the name.
Yes, thank you.
100% open invitation to be a guest on the show.
We'll get her on
as well. All right, yeah. So let's plug the podcast now. So on Twitter, we're Tommy Points Pod. We'll probably get some other social media up and running at some point. I think and this, if you've made it to the end of this episode here, this might be a little sneak peek. I think it's going to be something that we start to dish out this social media like management of it. So if you're a listener, if you want to get involved, we might want to get like a team of people to run the account. We'll see. But yeah, so Tommy Points Pod on Twitter. We're going to be on YouTube or I guess just Tommy Points Podcast. You'll find it. And then we'll be on Apple. We'll be on Spotify. We'll be on everywhere pretty soon once this episode gets out. And I think that's all we got. I mean, this big things to come here. One last RIP to Tommy Heinsohn. Shout out to the name.
This podcast is for Tommy. No one else. This is for Tommy. Yep. 3 episodes for him.
Until next time, let's hope the Celtics season's looking good, and let's hope this podcast takes off.
Yes, sir.
Talk
Yeah,
to
go
everyone
Seas,
next
baby.
time. Let's
Go
go.
Seas.